But our little surprise segment here, you can just... I don't sound it now, but you can add me as +1 for the good old COVID-19. So this happened on... Well, let's go back here. Obviously what I'm trying to say is I had the virus like so many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Americans and just people in the world. What am I saying? Well, there's 330, well, actually that's probably going up because of the census, but you know, there's over 330 million Americans, so I guess it's possible that millions have had it. But I am just another member of that crowd now. I was having my good old winter break here, came back on December, what was it? Oh, probably December 19th. Yeah, December 19th, that makes sense because the 18th there was this showcase of a bunch of the videos made by the comm arts folks. Of course, I was in one of the classes. My video is not one of the ones featured, and it was kind of a mystery about which videos would end up getting featured. I'm not saying that because I'm upset about it. I'm saying that because I just would have liked to have known, like, the thought process that went into choosing the videos, but I digress. Anyway, so, I go through, and the first week when I get home, this is something that I noticed with every break from school in my first year. Aside from the impromptu return after spring break, but the Thanksgiving break of 2019 and then winter break going from the fall 2019 to the spring 2020 semester, without fail, my sister gets sick. Same exact thing happens this break, but it's like right around Christmas. I mean, this doesn't necessarily tie into it, but this is just a bad omen. So she gets COVID-19. Oh, yeah. And then, so basically what that meant was for the next like week and a half, the 10 days that the quarantine is supposed to be now, we all kind of had to be holed up, or just until we started feeling sick. And so I was hoping that after that, it's like, okay, we got through that. I had someone immediately around me who was sick, and, they were quarantined, and we did literally had to wear the masks at home just to interact in the house. I was like, okay, well, maybe, obviously I didn't get sick, but hopefully that's just if I can get through that, maybe that just means we'll keep going. Nope. So a week later, we're getting into the start of January 2nd, 3rd. It's just a normal week. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And then Sunday, January 9th rolls around, and suddenly I feel sick. Now, regardless of what was going to happen from that point, I had no idea what it is I could have had at that moment. But it really didn't matter for me because I don't know how much I've talked about this on here. I would hope I did when I first addressed COVID-19 on this show, but I hate being sick. When I'm sick, the only thing that's going on in my head, the only thing I'm thinking about is how miserable the experience of being sick is. Because when I'm sick, I guess it really depends, but on the particular strain of whatever is afflicting me at the time. But it's I feel like usually when I get sick, I get really sick. Or at least I just get really miserable, probably because, again, all that's going through my head is, I hate being sick. I hate being sick. This sucks. It's the worst. I hate blowing my nose all the time. I hate coughing. It is a horrible experience. So already, when I'm starting to feel the slightest bit bad on January 9th, I'm annoyed. And then January 10th rolls around, and it's oh, I'm feeling a little worse. And then Tuesday, January 11th rolls around, and I'm feeling awful. Horrible. So, and keep in mind, I'm also working during this whole thing too. I'm making some of that nice chunks of money. So I really don't want to have to take any days off of work here, but I already had Tuesday and that Wednesday off. And Wednesday was especially important because on Wednesday I was going to be going to a job shadow in Milwaukee with this company PodCamp Media. This is actually something that I learned here while I was at college, that they just had this job shadow thing planned for winter break. Now, fortunately, the guy, the owner of the business, was basically like, with this whole like Omicron, not Omicron Persei 8, for you Futurama folks, but I'm sure you've heard that joke many, many times already. Not that, but this Omicron variant, he's like, maybe, why don't we just push that back until like guys, it's spring break to come down here. Does that sound good? And everyone was essentially like, yeah, that's fine. So now I'll be doing that in spring break. Now, to go into like a huge tangent into that, but that to me sounds like a great job opportunity. I would love to join their business, and if I do, I'm sure I'll talk about it on here, or definitely my experiences doing it, since what am I doing right now? I'm podcasting, so it'll definitely get brought up. But the point is, obviously that didn't end up happening that day anyway. But instead, what happened for sure was it's like, oh, now I have to go get tested, and obviously so. What I thought going into that experience is I thought like this is going to be like I genuinely heard someone describe it as it's like I feel like because they just put this like swab up your nose. I thought it'd be like they're genuinely reaching up into my brain here, but it was more like they just kind of like waved it around in my little nostrils, and that just was what it was. And then 12 hours later, I got my result, and it turned out I was positive. And I was like, no. But I guess I was just proud that I was able to get about a year, almost 2 years into this sort of whole pandemic without getting the disease. And anyway, then the thing about Wednesday, too, I should also mention, is I was feeling a little bit better. Not like a lot of it better, but like a little bit. And then Thursday rolls around, and I'm like, I'm feeling great. Now, at this point, my work folks are like, yeah, maybe still give it a couple days yet. We'll just play it by ear. So I was able to come back finally on Saturday. But it's just like from Thursday on, I would say I was feeling normal, but I was feeling a lot better. And then this past week here leading up to now, like now I feel totally normal. But this past week was definitely it's what I call the micro frog sort of stage when, but like after you have a cold. And when I say micro frog, the frog that I'm referring to is that idea of like a frog in your throat, where it's just like I need to get out whatever the last sort of stuff that's inside of here before I start sounding totally normal. Unfortunately, that happened here. I was afraid that I would continue to feel bad, or that I would continue to have this before I recorded this, but it worked out now where I'm feeling pretty good. So. That kind of describes my experiences in a nutshell, in a very short sort of nutshell, but it's basically just like I felt like I had a terrible cold, but I was only sick, like really feeling bad for like 2 days, and then otherwise I was starting to feel pretty good. And I would largely chalk that up to the fact that, I had this nice like shot in my arm. Yeah, I'm sorry if there's anybody in this audience, what little there may be at this point, that is an audience already that is like super duper anti-vaccine, particularly for COVID-19. But, the darn things work. The evidence I feel like is pretty darn overwhelming on that, that they're really effective at doing what they need to do. And I would think that, because you have to remember, like, terrible seasonal allergies, which already cause problems, asthma, all that sorts of stuff. But granted, of course, I'm young. I am 21. I would think that even if I didn't feel like, even if I wasn't, like, deathly ill, I would have felt a decent bit worse for a little bit longer had it not been for that. So, The moral of this story here is being sick is the worst. Please, please, please get a vaccine if you haven't gotten one yet. I would highly recommend it, even not as a doctor. I would still think that it's something that you should probably do. Again, not your healthcare provider, but I think it's a pretty good suggestion here. But I went through it. It was what it was. I'm pretty sure because then the following week, of course, my mother was sick with COVID-19, probably from me So, you know, I've already apologized to her profusely for that, but it is what it is now. I just, you know, life, I guess, goes on, but I'm glad in some ways that it's almost, I guess, a rite of passage for someone now in the 2020s at this point to sort of get the virus. And I already had it. At this point, you know, we are 15 days out from me having had it, so I would think things from now on are going to be normal at this point for the most part. Of course, it's perfectly possible to continue to, you know, to get it again. But it's just like, I knew this would have to come at some point, but I'm just sad. In some ways that it already happened because I hate being sick, but it is what it is. So, that was really just sort of, not really an impromptu sort of topic, but just something that's like, oh, you know, I didn't originally plan on having this as a topic at all, ever, but, you know, here it is. It just kind of showed up. The two topics, I remember talking in episode 18, like I had 3 topics planned, but I cannot for the life of me remember what the original 3rd topic was, because if I could remember it, then we would have had 4 topics for this episode. I only really have the other 2 remaining here to go in, but I think that there are a couple of interesting ones. So